Think size doesn't matter? Well, think again.
Yeah, today we are going to unbox the new Yamaha FS9 and the FG9. We're going to compare these two guitars and see how they stack up in terms of tone, playability, and comfort.
Stick around at the very end for a blind comparison where you will get to see which one of these truly stands out. Last year, Jared, we got in the FG9, and I thought it was fantastic. In fact, we were introduced to the Yamaha line mainly because of the FS9 or FG9. I apologize.
Yeah, at the NAMM show, that really stood out to us when they released these. We got to go back in the room and play them out, and we were like, man, that's the full dreadnought size. Like, wow, it's time to look at Yamaha.
So then, me and Jason took a trip up to the Fretboard Summit, where Yamaha was showing off.
In Chi-Town?
Yeah, I was in Chicago. Yeah, I guess that's, is that Chi-Town? Whatever you say, Jeremy. Anyway, they actually had a couple of samples of prototypes that they were building of the new FS9. And so me and JP Cormier, we actually played those and checked them all out. Fantastic sounding guitars. And ever since then, we've been kind of going, hey, Tim, that's my rep, Tim, when's that new FS9 coming out? And he'd go, sometime. And then I got a phone call, well, about 4 or 6 weeks ago, said, they're coming out, John. And you're going to have one of the very first ones. So that's what happened. They actually got these before release date. We have our versions of the FS9, both in rosewood and mahogany. So what we thought would be fun is to compare the difference between the Yamaha dreadnought shape and their folk shape or OM style body and kind of do the exact same woods. Does it make a difference? So let you guys hear. They're both premium sounding guitars, but we want to hear what the difference is between the two.
So John, before we jump into playing the guitars, which I know is what a lot of people are waiting for, let's talk about why would Yamaha come out with this smaller body guitar when they already had this monster of a dreadnought? What is it? Who is this for?
Well, you tell me. You're the guy.
It's for me.
You're the guy.
I like a smaller body guitar and there's other reasons that people might want a smaller body guitar. For me, it's comfort and playability. It just feels better in my my shoulder length, my wingspan, if you will. Feels much better where I can play this a lot longer. And I'm used to a mandolin, so maybe that stands to the reason I want a smaller body guitar. So that's one reason. Somebody that is a little smaller in stature. Some ladies might prefer a smaller body guitar. And there's also tonal reasons for it.
I agree. That's a bigger thing. OMs have always been known to be a little bit more balanced guitars. The low end does not overwhelm. Now, they're not going to have as much low end as projection and volume as a dreadnought, but you're definitely getting a more balanced overall tone. And again, I've said this 100 times. If I was looking for the guitar that can do everything, the OM body is it. Great finger picker, great strummer, great, flat pick. You can do anything you want with an OM. Now, is it the ideal for everything? No, but it works much better as a finger picking guitar than this does. And even the smaller bodies sometimes do better. But it can also compete with this guitar as a strummer or a big sounding guitar. So OMs are a fantastic body shape for a lot of people.
Which that answered our next question, how does it sound? We talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm really impressed with the tone we're getting out of this. It's very, Yamaha has this, the way they develop their tops and they sonically test them, they get sustain out of these things. It's very much piano-like. It just, all those notes just ring evenly across the entire spectrum. What would be one of the cons of this? You alluded to it earlier. It doesn't probably compete as well for a flat picker with a big band. Like if you have a loud stage volume or even a jam session where you're outdoors and you've got 3 dreadnought guitars and a fiddle and a banjo and a dobro and a mandolin, it's not going to stand out as well. You'll have to really powerhouse through it. I'm impressed with the volume you can get out of this, but it still does not have the projection and low end that a dreadnoug's going to have.
No, but there's, again, cons to the dreadnought too. Like you said, comfort and playability, but also it's balance. I mean,
you had to do it, didn't you?
I absolutely had to do it. No, the low end is definitely going to be stronger on this, and maybe too much so. If you're playing finger picking styles,
your fingers are already going to have a little more duddy.
You're not going to have that clarity of the top end like what that has. So again, that's the bad side of having a dreadnought guitar. So our last question here: other guitars to compare. What does this guitar compare to?
Well, we're talking about the small body FS9. For me, we really brag about the Bedell guitars and what they're able to get out of their small body guitars as far as sustain and balance clear across all the frequencies. I think this is a very close comparative to that.
I think there's even more detail in that. I think what I have always been so impressed with the Bedels is how big they are. Yes, there's a lot of clarity to it too, but they're just huge sounding. Where I don't think this is meant to be in that huge world. It's more meant to be just everything you want in a OM body size more. And what I mean by that is, OM's, the original one, was done by Martin. It is a great sounding guitar. It tends to be a little bit thick in the low ends. Where the more modern guitars, stuff like Collings and even Bourgeois, very detailed, very crisp, very, clean, but sometimes lacking some of that extra depth that we're looking for. And again, I think they did that same sweet spot that they did with the FG9, where they just kind of took that more modern side and just swung it a little bit more towards that traditional Martin sound that we all kind of know about.
All right, John, let's rate. We're going to talk about the FS9. We've already done a video on the FG9. This is a mahogany guitar, small body OM. Tone, what rating will you give this on tone?
On tone, I think this is a fantastic sounding guitar. If you are an OM guitar player and wanting something there's not a whole lot, you're not trying to you're just getting the same thing you want better. And that's what I think they actually did here. So I'm going to give it a 4.8.
I was right up there with you. I was going to go for a 4.75.
Look at that, you got the 0.75s. All right, setup and playability. I was very, very surprised. Factory, this guitar comes in with medium gauge strings. When we first got our first FG9s, they actually gave them to us with lights. Now we found later on that they are sending those with mediums. Those are also set up with mediums. But it is well done. It's a little bit on the high side for my playability.
I think for most fingerstyle players, they might find it to be a little bit high.
That's kind of where I was thinking. So it's well done. It's a great setup, but I don't know it was the ideal setup for that particular guitar. Again, everybody's individualized, so I don't know what the ideal setup is. But that said, I'm going to give it a 4.3.
I was going to give it a 4.4 because it's right there. It's still playable, but I would have it set up a little bit lower than that. All right, John, build quality on these things. I think they are excellent. Like the details in them, you can tell that they just have built a really good instrument. We know the technology that Yamaha has where they actually analyze the tops and they really get a very consistent guitar out of each one that comes off the line. And especially in the FG9 and FS9, they're wanting to make sure the consistency is right up there so everyone that plays one's going to get a top-notch instrument. So build quality on this, I've got to give it a pretty high rating. I'm going to go with a 4.8.
I thought you were going to say 4.9. I was going to say 4.8, but since you didn't, I'm going to go with a 4.9.
Okay.
Now we get to the aesthetics, the look of it. I think they were very, very smart with this. I know what they were going. It's basic, but they have their own slant on it. They took the traditional Yamaha pickguard, used better material, made it look better. They took that Yamaha headstock shape and still kept the V in there, but made it better. Used the black chrome tuners.
Then they really just made something of their own with the inlays for the fret markers, the washi paper for the label on the inside, the rope binding that really brings some of the Japanese tradition into this guitar. And then just even little things like the headstock is supposed to be reminiscent of their grand pianos, that just that high gloss black, and it just really looks classy.
Yeah.
I think everything about this guitar, including the cases, aesthetically is just knocked out of the park.
I actually do. This is a tough one because not everybody is into the look of the Yamaha guitars, but if you are, I think they really nailed it here. So I'm going to give it a 4.8.
I'm going all the way to 4.95, John. That's like almost a 5 because I know some people that are traditional Martin fans may not like the Yamaha appointments, but this is Yamaha. It's supposed to be Yamaha, but they just did it even nicer, I think.
Sustainability, this does pass our sustainable mission. Yamaha has assured us and shown us how they source a lot of their stuff. They are very, very responsible with how they build guitars.
Where they're sourcing the wood.
Yeah, exactly. So we definitely put this in our shop sustainable category.
All right, overall value, John. This is where I know when the FG9 first came out, it was a hard sell for a lot of people saying, okay, it's Yamaha. Is it really worth $39.99? And it's a premium guitar. It is a boutique build where if you're comparing this to a US built boutique builder, you're going to get a lot of those same features, but pay almost double the price tag.
Mm-hmm. There's just no doubt that there is value here. There's none of the premium, and again, American builders that are building a guitar with this many appointments at this price point. It just isn't happening.
So where
right
would you
now.
rate this for overall value?
For overall value, again, I'm at the 4.8. This is really, really great guitar.
I was going to go right there as well, 4.8 for value.
Now we're gonna play these things back to back, see which one.
But we're not going to let you guys cheat. You're not going to know which one's which. We're going to blur them out, see if you can tell the difference between the smaller body guitar and the full-size dreadnought, and which one do you like better?
Yeah.
That was very interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed playing along at home. Put in your comments which one you thought you liked the most, but there's actually going to be a little card here you can click where it'll be a poll, a link to a poll, and you can tell us which guitar you like the most, the small body OM, or which is the FS, or the FG dreadnought size, and give us kind of your opinions on those. We'd love to hear what you guys think as well as, I mean, I know what I think, but what do you guys think?
And before that, if you want some more content on the Yamaha FS9, we have a video that's right here. You can click on it, and it will have the 5 things that we loved most about the Yamaha FS9.